Hi, my name is Basrat, and in this video we will be looking at null and undefined and how to deal with them in your JavaScript and TypeScript codebases. Let's look at undefined first. Undefined is designed to represent something that hasn't been initialized. For example, let's say we declare a variable foo. However, we do not assign anything to it, so if we try to read its value, the runtime will return us undefined. Similarly, if we have a function that takes some optional argument that will simply log out to the console, and we invoke this function without any argument, the runtime is going to provide undefined for this argument. Also, if we have a function that returns nothing, and we try to read its return value, the runtime is actually returning undefined. If we try and read a property off of an object that doesn't exist, the runtime will actually provide us undefined. So you can see that undefined is something that will occur in your code base even without explicit use of the undefined keyword. Different from having something uninitialized is the concept of having something unavailable. Unavailability is represented in JavaScript using the null keyword. For example, if we query using document.querySelector something that is not existent, the runtime will actually return us null. In addition to browser APIs, this convention of representing something that is currently unavailable as null is used heavily within Node.js. In Node.js callbacks, the first argument is traditionally used to indicate an error. If there is no error, normally null is passed as a placeholder. As an example, when you read a file in Node.js, the first argument to the callback will be the error. If there is no error, null will be passed in. Just like undefined, null is something that you will have to deal with when dealing with the browser native APIs, Node.js native APIs, as well as third-party libraries. Fortunately, dealing with both null and undefined in a unified fashion in JavaScript and TypeScript is quite easy. Let's say we have a function that returns string in case of a valid response, and in invalid circumstances returns null or undefined. We have the result of a function call. If we want to isolate both null and undefined, we can do that by simply checking double equals null. This double equals null expression is truthy for both null and undefined values. And TypeScript is smart enough to understand that. So in this case, TypeScript infers that the result might be null or might be undefined. And in an else condition, TypeScript will also correctly infer that result can only be a string. Similarly, if we only want to isolate the successful case, we can do that with the simple not equal null check. In this case, TypeScript will correctly infer that result can only be a string, as not equal null rules out both null and undefined. And if we want to handle the error case later, TypeScript will correctly understand that result can be null or undefined. Note that conventionally in JavaScript, when you are checking equality between two things, you use triple equals. And indeed, when you use triple equals, null and undefined are not equal to each other. However, fortunately, for double equals, null and undefined are equal to each other, however, not equal to other falsy things like empty strings or zeros. This makes the double equals null check a reliable isolator for only null and undefined values. So in short, Normally, you don't need to make a distinction between null and undefined in your codebase, as you can rule them both out with a single conditional check. And as a footnote, when I have to declare explicit unavailability, I use null in my codebase as it follows existing conventions in Node.js. As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Thank you.